You're listening to Faith in the Classic Lounge on Classic FM 94.3 Abuja.
All right, Classic FM 94.3 Abuja, the station that plays every song. You know, you're in a Classic Lounge. My name is Faith. It's 3 minutes past 1 p.m. on Thursday, the 6th of February, 2020, which also happens to be a very important day, which is what we will be talking about on the show today. Today has been designated, you know, by the UN as International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation. And so we'll be having a conversation on that. And I have in the studio to help us, you know, get through all of it and explain it better to us, Dr. Olasumbo Odebode. She is the Child Protection Specialist for UNICEF and the focal person on the end of FGM project, as well as the focal person for Spotlight Initiative on ending violence against women and girls in Nigeria. Welcome to the show, ma.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are going to be talking about a number of issues. I mean, for me, I've heard FGM for so long. I've talked about it for so long on my radio shows. But there are definitely people who are like, okay, what exactly, you know, are you talking about? What exactly is the FGM? So let's start from the basis, which is explaining what FGM is, you know, exactly.
Thank you. Female genital mutilation, or what is commonly called FGM, is the partial removal of a part of the female genitalia. And there are different types. The level of invasion of the private parts in terms of removal varies from area to area. In some parts, it's just the clitoridectomy, where a part of the clitoris, the tip, is removed. In some areas, it is more invasive in which you have the removal of the clitoris, the labia minora, the labia majora, and then the person being mutilated is now sewn together all over again. So it varies from area to area. But anything that involves cutting of a part or all of the genitalia is what we refer to as female genital mutilation.
Today, you know, as we have it as International Day of Zero Tolerance, there's a theme for it, you know, but let's also talk about why today was the chosen day, you know, and the theme behind the year 2020 International Day of Zero Tolerance on female genital mutilation. Thank
you. Actually, the date originated around 2003.
Okay.
When we had first ladies from African countries coming together, and our dear Mrs. Stella Obasanjo was then the first lady of Nigeria. They had this campaign, and that was when they declared zero tolerance for FGM. Somehow it resonated, and the UN bought into it. Their meeting.
So it started from Africa, basically.
Basically.
Wow.
So they bought into it, and that date of their meeting was now declared as the International Day
for Zero Tolerance
for FGM, and the UN has been sponsoring it since then. The theme for this year is Unleashing the Power of the Youth. A decade, you know, after interventions to end FGM. You are all familiar with the SDGs. By 2030, this is going to happen. By 2030, there will be an end to FGM and so on. So we are about 10 years away from that target. And this target, SDG 5.3, is one of the targets to ensure that there is an end to FGM by 2030. So the issue now is, what are we doing? The youth represent our future generation.
Yes.
And because there is a growing youth population, so many of the girls, millions of them, if not caught, you know, at this point, they are prone to being caught. So the idea is to engage them in the campaign to end FGM, sensitize them, create their awareness for them to know that there is really no benefit in FGM, in the practice itself. Rather, there are just consequences and so on. So the focus this year is on the youth, to engage them, to be a part of those who are campaigning against FGM, to ensure that the future generation we have are those who are not for the
for
practice.
the FGM.
Yes.
I mean, I also think it's genius to say unleashing the youth power, because I mean, if you look at what is going on around the world and you look at youth advocacy, it is growing. I mean, you look at things like the climate change. You have a teenager leading that charge in particular. So, I mean, I'm going to bring it down to Nigeria because this is where we are. What is UNICEF doing to engage the youths themselves, so that they can buy into this, take it as their own advocacy and push it?
A lot, because the interventions we have is multisectoral, multidimensional, multi-stakeholder. And the youth form a very strong component of the people, of the groups we partner with and collaborate with. We have a youth group that we call the social media advocates.
Okay.
And because of the social media,
yes.
I mean, it's the trending thing nowadays. So if you happen to go on any social media platform, be it Facebook, be it Twitter, be it Instagram, just type in End Cutting Girls. You will see the extent to which we engage with the younger generation.
Is there a hashtag? Because I know that's what they jump after. Is that End
Cutting Girls together.
Okay.
No break.
Okay.
On any of the platforms, you'll find it. On YouTube, they are there. And then also right now, even before today, as the day of the day of zero tolerance, we engage with school girls and boys, because we cannot do anything without engaging the boys. I mean, when you talk of gender relations, so we go around for those who are in school and out of school to sensitize them on the dangers. Because when you empower them, then they are able to talk for themselves, to say, no, I will not do it, and I will not do it for my unborn children. And even when the parents, the age of cutting is not the same across board.
Oh, yes.
In some areas, it is babies that are cut. In some areas, it is a rite of passage to adulthood. So those ones are more knowledgeable. They are aware of what is happening. So they can say they are not going to do it. We have had cases during our interventions where we have seen girls running away, maybe when they heard their parents discussing the dates of their cutting. And they ran away, and people, we partner with CSOs, we partner with religious organizations, traditional leaders, because we can't go to a community anyway without knocking the door and say, we are here to pay advocacy and to sensitize on this. So we have had interventions deriving from the fact that we empowered the younger generation. And then even now, as I am currently with you now, so many activities are going on at state levels.
Okay.
Visits to schools by our stakeholders, our partners, to ensure that they are sensitized. Because empowered girls, empowered boys, they are able to take decisions that will really contribute to the promotion of their rights. So they are there collaborating with them, interacting with them, sensitizing them, and advocating with them to push this. Yes, to push this.
Okay.
And there is a lot of buy-in. So that's how we are engaging. How we are engaging the youth in the campaign.
Fantastic. Because of course we're still going to talk about the all-encompassing plan in Nigeria about stopping this. Because the interesting thing is that we have had a law passed for this, so it is a criminal act, but it still goes on. Like you were talking about some of the things that allude to that, the cultural beliefs. In my place, I know that is a rite of passage, because you don't do it until you're older. You're like maybe 16, 17, 18.
Marriageable age.
And then you are taking to go and get it done because they feel now you're a woman. And girls are proud to be a part of it.
That is it.
So how do we break down those cultural barriers, especially so that in communities, the girls don't see it as a rite of passage or as a pride to engage in you, but see it as a detriment to themselves.
Yeah, we are all, thank you. We are all products of our socialization in the communities in which we grow.
Yes.
When you are growing up and you have been made to understand the fact that if you don't do this, you are not a woman. If you don't get this done, then you are not a woman. So we don't do it without engaging with the custodians of culture, the traditional leaders and the traditional institutions, the mothers, the men's group, the women's group. They need to understand that there is really no benefit that will accrue from it. Rather, it will be consequences. Because it can lead to excessive bleeding, it can lead to scarring. Some people develop complications, keloids, and so on. So it is when they understand that their awareness is created to say, oh, so these are the consequences of this thing we are engaging in. When everybody comes to that understanding, let's face it, no parent wants to do something that will be injurious to their children. It's because they don't understand the implications.
Yes.
And then the custodians of culture, there can be alternatives to rites of passage. It doesn't have to be the removal of a part of the body. The campaign and the message is to leave girls intact, leave women intact the way they came. It derives from the issue of gender inequality. If it is not removed, the girl will be promiscuous. The head of the baby must not touch the clitoris. It is more beautiful when the FGM is done. Whose definition of beauty
are we following? I do want us to continue this conversation, especially when we talk about the cultural belief and, of course, how that has been so much entrenched in society. You touched on, the fact that some of them do not know that there are medical implications to this, which has led to some people saying, well, if it's medical implications, what if a doctor does it? We'll talk about medical practitioners and their involvement in this right after this, because we have to go for the headline news. So stay with Classic FM 94.3 Abuja, the station that plays every song. Remember, you also have a chance to be a part of this conversation. Keep it here.
You're listening to Faith in the Classic Lounge on Classic FM 94.3 Abuja.